Hey, everybody. I'm Laura DeCarlo of A Competitive Edge and Career Directors International. I am so thrilled you've joined me today. Whether you're just starting your job search, thinking about making a move, or feeling stuck with a resume that's not getting results, you're in the right place with me today. This session is a special collaboration between my boutique practice, A Competitive Edge, and Career Directors International, the global professional association for resume writers and career coaches that I founded in 2005 and currently direct. Our topic today is what job seekers must know before ever hiring a resume writer. Yes, and I am only talking about resume writers and not job search or interview coaches today because resume writing is the most challenging piece and where job seekers almost always start when they want to look for their new or next position. But before we get going, we are live on LinkedIn and YouTube. And because these platforms don't always show me who's commenting, please put at least your first name in the comments when you chat so I have a sense of who I'm talking to. I'm going to be asking you questions as we go and inviting your questions as well. So please be in there for me. All right. So let me ask if anybody is here with me now. Go ahead and put a hello in the chat. Again, your first name. And if this is your first time with my show, maybe give me a hashtag newbie, or if you've caught me before, a hashtag pro for my longtime followers. And if you're serious about landing your next role faster, earning more, and standing out, you're definitely going to want to stick with me today. And also be sure, like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss out when I do these shows. Great information for anyone who's in a job search or needs to refer someone who is. And honestly, again, I hope it goes without saying, put those questions in the chat. I'm pulling it up now so I can eyeball it over here. All right. So, what you need to know before hiring a professional resume writer. Let me tell you why this matters. The truth most job seekers don't realize, not all resume writers or their resumes are created equal. In fact, the resume writing and really the career coaching industry are completely unregulated. Anyone can wake up tomorrow and call themselves an expert. Interestingly, LinkedIn used to show numbers, and we were at over 1.6 million returns for resume writer when I had last checked. Today, I see we can't actually type this type of data in and get that information. But for me, when I search for resume writer, it shows me the first 1,000 people in my first level connections, 1,000 in my second level, and 1,000 in my third level. I think you'd probably agree, right? And give me a yes in the chat that 3,000 professional resume writers, that's enough to leave anybody confused and overwhelmed. And honestly, what rises to the top of a list, any list online, can have nothing to do with expertise and ability to serve you. They could do with simply with marketing. And well, if we go on to Google, we're talking about they can do with paid results or paying someone to do great SEO, paying someone to write articles. There's no correlation. So don't get me wrong, some truly are amazing. There are amazing resume writers out there who can change your life, not just me. And I'm going to be talking about that, where you can find them in CDI. But the majority are well meaning, but sadly unqualified. And unfortunately, more and more online, there are outright scams. But remember, that's true in every industry, especially as we get online. There's so many people who see opportunities to be predators and make a quick buck. So, my goal here today is to arm you with the knowledge to protect your investment, your career, and your future, and also to educate people on the fact that resume writing is a true profession and it can make a distinct difference for job seekers who take advantage of it. Because when you hire the right professional, you can shorten your job search by months and with job seekers I've seen by years. There's nothing worse than seeing someone who was searching for 3 years and they were proud at first that they'd negotiated 2 years of severance in their executive package. And now the third year is over and they're scrambling because they're not making any money and they're getting nowhere. And 6 weeks later, thanks to my help or someone of my talent level, and this is a true story from one of my clients, they're back to work at their level. So let me know in the chat, have you ever worked with a resume writer before? And what was your experience like? Hopefully it was good, but I completely understand if it was bad. So let me drive you through some educational pieces that I'm going to call truth bombs and myth busters. I think I have 6 of them. So first, and this isn't just for pro resume writers, but also for those of you who are trying to do it yourself or DIY it, most templates are a trap. So, using resume templates is one of the fastest ways to blend in and not stand out from all your competition. I like to say that if presentation wasn't important in the world in grabbing employer attention or anything else we do, um, once we survived the ATS and human scans, we'd all be driving gray cars, wearing gray clothes, living in gray boxes, and doing drone work. But we need to ensure that we're the purple squirrel that stands out from our equally qualified competition of brown squirrels and get someone excited by what they see on the page. How that's presented matters. You won't stand out if you look and sound like every other candidate by being forced into a generic box. The resume layout should flow around your unique puzzle of challenges, experiences, and results. Always, always expect to be shown resume examples. If not right on the website, at least in the consultation process. And if you see something that looks like what you've created yourself or seen from your colleagues or template sites, or if your eyes aren't drawn to what's exciting return on investment about that candidate in under around 7 seconds, this is not the pro to invest in. A master professional will always create a custom marketing tool that sells you uniquely. But that is also ATS friendly. That's the other pitfall of templates is if you think, well, but this one's eye catching and it's going to grab them. Well, the catch 22 is it actually ATS friendly? Are there formats and formulas in there that are going to make critical data? Or do you not have the knowledge or the person who's using the template to know that if you put something important that's keyworded in this type of a format, it can be difficult to read. So when I present at job fairs and job seekers bring me their resumes to look at, I end up collecting a bunch of them and I'll end up having a crowd around me as I start sharing tips and whatnot. I'll often grab 3 or 4 resumes and I've had the tops folded over so they're confidential and you can't see who they are. But I'll hold them up and I'll be like, anybody stand out here? Does this look like your resume? And they all be like, yeah, because nothing stands out. And yep, that looks like my resume because almost everybody's using the same generic templates. So DIY or professional, make sure you get to see samples and make sure that those are really selling you. So if this makes sense about what you need to do to stand out and be compliant, give me a yes in the chat. All right, number 2. Um, it may not seem to fit my list either, but I have to talk about this because most job seekers make this mistake of trying to DIY their resume and act as the pro themselves. You're hiring yourself, which is a very expensive prospect. So, despite what you have been told, DIY is never going to be your best bet when it comes to writing the resume. Yes, you know yourself best, but you don't market yourself for a living. And I found it's very easy to not know how to sell yourself and to take your true value for granted, especially if you've been in a bad job or you're currently unemployed. Imagine for a second if the chemists or food scientists who originally came up with the Coca Cola formula had said, I know the product best, so I should do all the marketing. I don't think they would probably be a $304 billion company today. If we want to sell what makes us stand out and what we do day to day, we often need to work with someone who's going to get to know you, ask you all the right deep dive questions, do the research, make sure nothing critical was taken for granted, and see all those gold nuggets that you're taking for granted and that aren't showing up in your responsibilities and possibly keyword stuffed resumes. So, if you're not an expert on technical writing, ATS friendly page design, needs of ATS systems and humans for scanning, and selling yourself and branding and marketing of your most important product, you, then you should never write your own resume, no matter what anybody tells you. You're leaving value on the table and letting other people win when it could have been you if you sold yourself right. Um, Listen, when I was winning annual top placement awards every year with a private university, it was top out of 11 campuses in 2 countries. It literally there was certainly I helped them in a 6-week training program to graduation and career management. But when the company hired me initially, they said, "You write a damn good resume, and that's why we're hiring you." I had to learn all the rest. But that was the pivotal reason why my students got interviews, that got them in the door because of the way they're sold on paper. And I need to throw in here a word about using AI. If you haven't checked out my 2 resume tests that I put on LinkedIn and Facebook and Instagram on the no, maybe, yeah, I think they're on all 3 channels, but just go to my feed. And I did these 2 tests so far, pitting AI, ChatGPT, against my certified master resume writer and certified graphic resume architect skill sets. Um, so using it's a very interesting to see the outcomes comparing both resumes together and what the issue is. But listen, using AI, especially with your resume content, and even mine, as I did in these 2 tests, it's like putting lipstick on a pig. I'm I'm sorry, I do there's some adorable pigs out there, but it's still a pig and everyone can see that. The resumes that it created for me with my master content came up with issues like a 1990s layout, damaging content like employment back to the 1970s. It included, because I also fed it the data that I would know to cut out to see if it would cut it out. It put in political and religious affiliations, references available upon request, and oh gosh, what was the other crazy thing it did? I'm drawing a blank on it, but I was horrified. So, yes, it had my content, but it still didn't even soup it up to be better than my final human output. So if you take your generic responsibilities and give them to AI, or you trust a resume writer who's given you a cheap price because they can do it fast. Oh, my resumes take an hour, or maybe they don't tell you that. But and they're only going to use AI, you're just going to get them prettied up and fluffy never gets interviews and puts you first place with employers. So in 30 years, I want to say I have seen it all. I remember when I had a physical office and a woman dragged in a huge stack of like $300 worth of resume writing books, told me she'd probably spent 25 to 35 hours on her resume, and she was still not getting results. We have all been there. Um, it's why you shouldn't DIY makes sense. And if that makes sense to you, give me a yes in the chat. And I am watching that chat. I haven't seen anything yet. Got some lurkers, and that is A-OK. But if you'd like to say hello, please do. Give me your first name so I know who I'm talking to. And we're on number 3 of 6. So you're probably already getting this. It's not just about the writing. A talented master professional resume writer is going to spend around 90 minutes picking your brain. They're going to do research for targeting your target positions. And they're going to make sure your resume has the agility to pass through two audience, two audiences to then stand out to the third. And yeah, I'm going to explain this, I promise. So you're first. Often, even if you network to put your resume in the right hands, this is either going to be an ATS review, which I think most job seekers know that means going through the applicant tracking system, looking for keywords, keyword phrases, proof that you're a match to the job. So you can make that maybe pile. And or it's going to get a quick human review. And that's not the decision maker who can connect all the dots and everything. It's usually someone in HR who's going to give it a few seconds looking, do I see a match? Do I put this in the maybe pile or the no? And I'm talking piles just to give you a visual when we know everything is online. Now, an external recruiter, they are probably going to read a resume. They're going to spend more time with it. But they're about the only place at this initial scan where somebody would spend more time. And everybody wants to work with a recruiter, but finding a recruiter that's a fit for you, that wants to work for you with you and has jobs for you at this time isn't always the biggest opportunity that you're going to face. So you're trying to optimize for all your options. So we need to worry about these first two audiences. So that we can get to the third, because the idea is make it to the maybe pile, getting through those human scans and those ATS scans so that we can end up in the smaller virtual pile of candidates who all seem to have the right qualifications. So great. Now you're in a small pen of equally qualified candidates, and we've moved beyond keywords, ATS compatibility, and we've moved into actually selling yourself. So, quick check in. Is anybody else today years old when they realize just how many layers your resume has to survive before a human decision maker even sees it? If so, tell me yes in the chat. All right. So, once we get to this maybe pile of equally qualified candidates, um, that's now we're just how do we stand out? This is where your content must shine. This is where we have to go beyond fulfilling the keywords and not having stuffed with keywords so that we did make it this far. Anyway, I could talk about it forever. So I'll just focus on now somebody who understands what you have done is looking at it, somebody who knows the challenges their department or their corporation is facing, knows what they're looking for. And hiring is an expense. We want to show that we're a return on investment for the company ultimately, that they're going to get the best value for the money that they're spending. So now we need to go beyond getting our foot in the door because we're qualified, and we need to show that we have something that is exciting. And it's a huge balancing act to make sure that it's pleasing to the eye, so and it acts kind of like vectors, drawing employers quickly to what they want to see. That it's results focused with stories, metrics, how you're better, faster, smarter, and these are the things most job seekers take for granted unless they're in sales. And everyone unless you're doing the bare minimum at work. And then we have to get very creative because we always want to tell the truth. And we have to look at where are you shown when you were happy in your job. It's all a huge balancing act, but you have got to sell what makes you stand out uniquely. You want what a C-level candidate told me at one point when he said, Laura, in 10 years of looking at resumes, I've never wanted to read one. He's like, and when I saw your samples and saw my own, these are resumes that get me excited to know the people who are being talked about. And that doesn't happen if you're just spending an hour on your resume. My average projects from start to finish may take me 7 to 10 hours. 7 to 10 hours. It's a big deal. So, if it makes sense that this is a complex and sensitive balancing act for layout, quick scan, and unique personal ROI, so that next employers, get excited about you and want to talk to you and you only, give me a yes in the chat. And while I'm watching for that, I will go on to number 4. And to me, this is also really important. It's certifications, credentials, and even the right awards matter when we're talking about hiring a resume writer. Honestly, this topic drives me crazy, and it is actually a key reason why we started Career Directors International in 2005 and why its former entity, Professional Resume Writing and Research Association, was born in 2000. Again, this industry is unregulated, and anyone can call themselves best resume writer, world's best resume writer. And tell me, give me a yes in the chat if you have seen that on LinkedIn, that every single person you've never heard of is like, the world's best or an award winner. Not every. And again, there are some that I think qualify for that. But in the role I'm in, running a global professional association of resume writers and career coaches, I know that 80% of them aren't. um, and then, okay, so we also have on one side the really evil, the scammers, the people who are just looking to make a quick buck, who They might steal the persona of real talented award-winning resume writers. I've also seen crazy stuff like people actually making up fake professional associations or logos for non-existent certifications to fool job seekers, or putting themselves at the top of their own top 10 resume writer lists. Listen, a slick website and a list of accomplishments is nothing until it is vetted by you. Remember the whole snake oil salesman bit from the past? They are alive and well in our world, and they are huge on the internet, again, in every industry. It's not unique to us. It's just that being unregulated, it's more. It's more. Okay. And then, and I know some in the industry won't want to hear me say this, but I am a fierce advocate for this. Many credentials are relatively meaningless. Do you want to work with someone who got certified 20 years ago and hasn't had to do anything since to earn that? I mean, to maintain that. Um, some CEUs, continuing education, the requirement to have that, so critical because so much has changed and continues to change every day. And do you want to go through somebody who was trained by someone who knows less than you do, who maybe took an hour course in resume writing and now calls themselves the best of the best? It's going to be a waste of money. This is a craft. This is something that people become masters of, like any craftsman service. Yeah, I'm trying to lay out a roadmap for you, and please be clear, it's not just certifications and awards. Let me get a sip of water here. Sorry. All right. Guess I haven't talked a lot today. Listen, it's not just certifications that should sway you, or awards. It's not just pretty layouts that should sway you. You need to verify and you need proof it works. And that's the sort of thing I'm trying to share with you today in this roadmap of things to look for and understand. And so I do want, before I move on from this topic, to tell you I am very proud of the standards we hold at CDI, Career Directors International. If a resume writer can't meet our high standards, we do set out a plan for them to follow so that they can up their skills. But honestly, many don't bother and feel like good enough is good enough. And I wholeheartedly disagree. I will go broke before I will just certify people for the sake of certifying them. CDI will never be a certification mill because, and I'm not, let me say I am just the vision. We have an entire certification team and a director. Same thing with our Tory Awards. I am 100% hands off in these processes. Um, but they take care of it and hold my standards because they believe in my standards, as do other certified members of CDI. We are entrusted to hold you as a job seeker's ability to make a living in our hands, and we owe it to you to make sure that you can find the best of the best. And that's why CDI celebrates the best of the best with our credentials that require true mastery, with award competitions that challenge resume writers to stay up to date and be the best that they can be, and with requirements to continue learning to maintain our certifications. It's not sexy and it's not popular, but at the end of the day, we sleep well at night knowing that we made a difference. And that is my mission, helping them and myself be the best at what we do so that we can help you be successful and fight against this tide of mediocrity and scamming that just happens to exist out there. Huh. All right. If I've helped you understand why you must carefully vet a resume writer and start first with one certified and or awarded with CDI, give me a yes in the chats, which is so crickety right now. I know some job seekers don't want anybody to know they're doing this, and that's okay. Um, so just hang with me because I've got a couple more good points, just two more. So my fifth very critical point, and yes, I promise there's not much more. There has to be proof that a resume writer creates work. resumes work. So each year at CDI, we do host a critical industry analysis survey of practitioners in our industry. We limit it to the members of CDI because they have a completely different vision than the millions outside of us. Oh, thanks. I see a LinkedIn user said, yes, I can't see your name, and that's okay if you want to be anonymous. If not, next time you comment, drop your first name so I know who you are. Anyway, we do this survey every year, and I'm shocked every year that almost like 75 to 85% of the respondent resume writers and career coaches don't track their client successes. They don't know how well it is working for their clients. And hey, we're all busy, and they may be asking you to report back and you don't. Um, but the point I have here is that we want to know it's not enough to go to somebody's website and see fluffy testimonials. Like if you are considering a resume writer and their LinkedIn profile testimonials, their website testimonials, even other online testimonials, if you're just seeing stuff like, I felt so much more confident after I worked with this person. Um, I'm going to be able to conquer things. I look so much better on paper, whatnot. That's fluff. Those aren't results. That's now the generic job seeker that the employer, had all the right skills but didn't stand out. That's the same thing. I, for 30 years, have been empowering my clients, whether they were job seekers, resume writers, or career coaches. I helped build their businesses, whoever they were. I've been having them track how many, I'm only going to talk about job seekers here. I'll just go off on a tangent. I want to know because I want to be able to celebrate their success story and add them to the huge 5-inch ring binder of success stories I have because, yeah, I'm nerdy and I print them all out. Has the signature on them or the electronic approval. But I keep those puppies, my little brag book. And if you go to acompetitiveedge.com, you can see many of them. But the deal is that my testimonials are able to say, this client sent out, um, let's see, an executive client of mine, M. Denard. She sent out 18 resumes. She had 6 interviews. She received 2 offers and said, I went beyond writing a resume and gave great advice for negotiating a career. Um, they don't have to have that specific, but you need to be looking for ones that at least are all results focused. What are clients expecting? Because if you have somebody write your resume who's not much better than you, it's not going to shorten your job search. You want someone like me and like top resume writers who often have the top certifications and top awards, appear because they're excellent at what they do. Their clients get results. You want this, wow, I never thought it could happen that quickly belief after you have looked at companies. So please do yourself a favor. If there's not proof, please move on. Find someone who has actual tangible results focused, got the job in record time, got the salary increase. Look for those specifics when you're hiring somebody. The same way, you would look through, I don't think I'm the exception, but before I buy a product on Amazon, I'm looking to see how many people rated it badly. But then I also read what they say because we know how that can be. Same thing when I'm picking all sorts of different things. I'm looking, and so you need to look for the results, not just the confidence boosts, because anything can boost your confidence that's done by a third party initially. But if it's not selling you effectively, it is not going to necessarily get you any different results than you would have had yourself. And then that's money down the drain. We want to see you expedite this. And I know that I've got like I said, I have a huge number of success stories. When I think of just job seekers alone, there's ones like, oh, you helped me shatter the belief that I couldn't get hired at age 69. And ones where the new graduate leapfrogged 5 years of experience and landed the $150,000 job in the area he wanted outside of his degree, 4-year degree. Um, just everything you can think of. And so look for those tangibles and you will find them. You'll find them on acompetitiveedge.com for me, but look for them whenever you're vetting a resume writer. All right, I got rambly there. So if you are going to always look for results as part of a decision to hire someone for resume writing, give me a yes in the chat and we will move on to the sixth point. So, this is a sticky thing, and this would probably upset some people, but again, I'm giving you the skinny here. I'm your secret weapon. And I just want to say that guarantees are, they're not always guarantees. And I kind of said some of this before, but here's the deal. Many resume writers offer rewrite for free guarantees, and some offer refund guarantees. Might say, like, if your resume doesn't get you interviews in X amount of time, I'll rewrite this right for free. And I remember the first time somebody brought this to me, and I was like, what? Um, and my brain like cracked for a second when they were like, well, they said they would write it for free. And I'm thinking, like, how on earth so this person isn't a purple squirrel that is selling resume writing services. They're not the best person you could hire because quite frankly, in 30 years of doing this, I've had 5 people come back to me and say my resume wasn't working, and of those 5 people, in every single instance, it was not the resume that was the issue, it was how they were using it. For instance, I had a job seeker who was trying to move from Boston to my area in Florida. He was a senior engineer, um, and he calls me up about, a month after we worked together, and he's like, "My resume is not working." And I'm like, "All right, tell me what's going on." And he's like, "Well, I'm flying down to go to job fairs." And so I had him tell me about what he was doing at the job fairs. And he was basically just walking up, it was a really busy job fair. So he's walking up, handing over his resume and walking away because there wasn't room to talk and blah, blah, blah. So I'm like, all right, we need, if this is the approach you want to take, since he didn't work with me on interview strategy or job search strategy, that was his option. I mean, I like people to have a complete solution, but I'm never going to force someone. Anyway, I was like, if you're going to focus on in-person job fairs, then we need some kind of thing with your resume that lets you stand out from everyone else. I'm like, let me create this little mini summary business card, little folding business card that highlights what makes you unique, will make it super visually distinctive. I mean, I've won first place, most creative resume, first place, most visually distinctive format resume. I love the design process that doesn't always fit in the resume so much, unless you're doing something really unique. And then I love that too. Anyway, um, yeah, so we did that, and I coached him on how to approach, how to follow up, and within a month, he had a new job. So my point here is be leery of, rewrite for free. That tells me the person isn't they're trying to instill confidence in you, and they might be really great and not realizing the flip side of this. But to someone like me, it says, I'm not sure I'm going to do it right the first time. So come back and I will take another shot at it in the dark. And that's not good. So pick resume writers on all the other things I'm telling you about. Don't pick them based on a guarantee. You want them to have, the awesome looking presentations that do what I've talked about. I'm not going to recap that. I'm going to recap in a minute here. So you want them to have all the things, but don't focus on guarantees. And honestly, refund guarantees, they're usually marketing fluff. I've become blind to them on the courses and products I buy now that aren't tangible physical products like clothing and whatnot, that might actually not fit. I think those should be returnable. But um, there's usually so many hoops to jump through with money back guarantees that they don't mean anything. So pick the right person versus focusing on the guarantee. All right, in the chat, I see Eric in Louisiana. I currently am working with a career coach and professional resume writer and want them to do a solid. Please let me know what I should include when I am done using their services. What specifics should I include when reporting the results? Good, bad, and ugly. Um, I'm not fully sure what you're asking for, Eric. When you say what you should include for who? For them? For a review for them? Um, Let me know. And hi, Peter. I see Peter from Kenya. Welcome. All right, let me say a little bit on investment here. Because, yes, when you want to work with a talented master, it is an investment of varying degree. It's not as big of an investment as, say, your college education, your lifetime of professional associations, licenses, continuing education, certifications. And while I liken it to not doing your own root canals or crowns or putting on your own kids' braces yourselves, or I don't know, wiring your home if you're not an electrician, or representing yourself in court, even if you are an attorney, I find it honestly even more important than those things because at the end of the day, investing in the right career consultant gives you the salary to afford those professional obligations and also to command the lifestyle and peace of mind that each of us deserves. For instance, on my services, when I was putting this show together, I did the math on what I've charged my last couple of clients. I actually charge for everything has a flat fee except resume writing, which is based on the amount of time I'm going to spend on it. So based on time, but I did some calculations knowing what their income goals are and their current earning. And in every case, what I was charging was less than 1% of their salary for the resume. So it's not like this is a huge expense. It's incredibly negligible. You can't even take a family of four to Disney on what most master resume writers and equally qualified career coaches charge for what they do, but it can give you an edge that shortens your job search and allows you to get to success faster. Remember, this is your future career and worth that are on the line, so you need to vet and choose smartly when you are picking a resume writer. If you agree with this, let me give me a yes in the chat. All right, Eric, to help them track their results. Well, that's on them to, if they're in CDI, they have a plan. If they're career directors or international members, they have a plan for embracing you and supporting you throughout your journey, and they will be there for you, telling you what you need to do. This is not on your hands for helping them do their job better. Um, for yourself, track things, which you can go back to the replay if you weren't here to hear them. But we typically want to track. Well, you want to track a lot of stuff. You want to have records of where you applied to and when you followed up or are going to follow up. If you had an interview, when was the interview? Who did you speak to? When did you send the follow up letter on that? Um, a tickler to when you're going to follow up. So you're tracking all those things for yourself, and you're able to then obviously see how many resumes you had to send out and jobs applied for, how many interviews you received, and how many offers you had, and the results. But you're tracking that for yourself. If they're smart, they're going to be asking you for that information. And they are taught that in CDI, because we're looking to create win win coaches and resume writers. All right. So before I close, I do want to talk about what makes me different and next steps you can take if you want to work with me, or if you want to find a fellow CDI member who fits the traits I'm talking about. So, as the founder of CDI, training and certifying many of the world's best resume writers and career coaches, I am in a very unique position. And I got here by never being afraid to lead the pack and being absolutely obsessive about being able to offer the best to my clients. So I gained this leadership role with a lot of industry firsts, having more resumes included in America's Best Resumes than any other resume writer, being selected to author Resumes for Dummies, 7th and the current 8th edition, winning numerous resume writing and university placement awards before I became the visionary lead in CDI, and also being selected as the resume expert for over 50 professional associations. Through CDI, I have created a culture based on excellence of continual learning, master certifications and awards, and created the interviewing, job search, LinkedIn profile, and resume writing training programs, best practices, and trend reports that are in use in universities, career centers, and private resume writer and career coach practices worldwide. There is a reason why I hold 22 industry certifications and degrees and have earned 17 industry awards and published or been published in 25 industry books. It would be a lot more if I was able to enter awards as the director of CDI, but I don't. Because I believe that's how we show people we're staying up to date. There is a reason why I have all those metric driven testimonials that I told you could find on acompetitiveedge.com from job seekers I've worked with. So, in my private practice, A Competitive Edge, which is simply acompetitiveedge.com, I channel all of this expertise to deliver a boutique white glove service where I only work with um, typically 1 to 2 clients a month. It's truly my passion project. Working with me, it's giving you peace of mind that every element of your career story, brand, and marketability is treated like a unique puzzle to be masterfully solved. And honestly, we have fun in the safe and motivating space that I create with each of my clients because you need somebody empowering you in this type of process. It's not just here, take this resume, often generic resume, and good luck. You need a support system. It's scary out there alone. So the people who work with me, they get real results. This isn't theory. It is a proven system that I've been able to help thousands of job seekers across industries and career levels to create transformational success. So it's really as simple as going to A Competitive Edge, where I'll put that on the bottom there. Just go to A Competitive Edge. You can click on free consult to learn more about it. Or if you're at a point in this process where you're like, I don't know how good my resume is, there's a quiz there that you can take. So let me go back to the chat here real quick. All right. So Eric said yes. And also thank you. Fabulous, fabulous. All right. So I hope it's getting clear. Let me know in the chat if why who you hire and how you vet them is so critical. I'm not the only one with these kinds of bells and whistles. Again, you can find Tory Award winners and people with the master certifications with our search at careerdirectors.com. There is a whole job seeker tab there for looking for people, but I stress just being a member does not elevate someone to the level of the awards and certifications. Vet carefully, look for those things. You can select them. And yeah, I do show up in those lists. All right, let me quickly recap a vetting checklist for when you hire a resume writer, what you need to make sure you do. Verify certifications and awards are real, advanced level or above, and require continuous proven learning like we do at CDI. Check professional memberships. Are they plugged into ongoing industry best practices? Does the association really exist? And is the person really a member of it? Gee, how funny. I know if you were here with me earlier, I talked about fake certifications and fake associations. Third, review testimonials. Look for real success stories, preferably with metrics, not just I feel more confident fluff. Watch out for templates. Are you being shown samples and do they sell you? And you want to be shown samples. If you're not shown samples, to me, that's a red flag that they're 1990s style, possibly. And so after the samples, do those samples look unique to the individual? Do they show in 7 seconds or less why that candidate would get somebody excited, or are they generic and boring? And then evaluate the process. Now, I didn't say a lot about this, so this is sort of new, but is the person you did the consultation with going to write your resume? Is there an interview or just a questionnaire? You don't want your project being farmed out to AI or a low quality writer. And if a questionnaire, I believe if a questionnaire was enough on its own, then you probably could have written the resume yourself, because it's the deep dive interview that writers like I do that allow you to get out, to mine that gold and create that unique personal branding resume for that individual so that they stand out from equally qualified candidates and they get interviews. So, in short, don't base your decision on price. I mean, I understand you have to put price into it, but if you're looking at price, keep it in terms of what it's going to allow you to do with your career that helps you have the lifestyle you deserve and need. So, price, fancy websites, guarantees, those should not be your first choosing decisions. Base it on proof so that you're picking someone who can help you have real results. So, all right, finding the right partner to champion your career success, I believe, is one of the smartest investments you can make. So, again, I've got on the screen with acompetitiveedge.com how you can have a consult with me, but read it carefully. Like I said, I only take a few clients a month. We want to be perfect fit. I love working with people who are serious about this process. And again, if you're still not sure where you stand with your resume, take the quiz. Find out. It'll get you really clear on whether the resume that you wrote or someone else wrote is getting the results it should be getting. We can't afford to waste time in our job search. Blah, blah. All right, your future is too important to leave to chance. So make sure you're putting your best foot forward and doing the right thing for your resume, your future, your life. And thank you for joining me today. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss any upcoming sessions. And if you found today helpful, drop me a thank you in the chat. That really helps more job seekers find this critical information. All right. With that, I hope I get to partner with you for your success or that you find someone great through CDI. But until next time, please be out there flying higher and getting the best results for the best outcome you can have.